Hi again, it's Jolynn Potter from Scrapbook Customs. It's really cold and gloomy outside today, which prompted me to pull out some bright, cheerful paper that I had, and so I could scrapbook something cheerful and bright and sunny today. So I have this line. We have this line called Paradise, and it's a wonderful line that has some bright, beautiful pieces, and some of the paper that we're going to be using today is this lemon yellow citrus, the Paradise Fern, and the Paradise Pink Hibiscus, and they're beautiful, bright, sunshiny papers. We're also going to be using this, it's called Paradise Palm, and it looks like kind of a sand with a border around it, and we're going to be using that as our background paper. For this page, we also need some white cardstock cut, one cut in a 10 by 10 square, and the other one cut in a 10 1/4 by 10 1/4 inch square. And that's what we're going to line up our little pieces of paper on. So what I did is I took our cardstock and I cut it into 3 by 3 squares, so that I could make this quilt background for this page. I'm also using a piece of brown cardstock, and this particular cardstock is a Bazzill cardstock, and it's dark sienna brown, and that works well with the sandpaper background. The first thing I'm going to show you today is how I made the quilted background. You may have your own way of piecing together like a quilt background, but this is how I did it. So what I did is I took my 10-inch piece of paper, and I have this white background, so I'm putting it on the sand paper so that you can see the white paper a little better as I build the background. But what I did first is I put a tiny mark right in the middle of all 4 sides of that paper, just a tiny mark. And it will be covered up by the little pieces of paper, so it won't matter that I've marked a little mark on that paper. We kind of have to look at this. It's a quilt background, but we also have to kind of look at this as a Sudoku board. You have 3 different prints, and you don't want the same print on the 3 different lines. So you kind of have to build it like a Sudoku. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with one of the green sheets. I'm going to put a little glue on it, and I'm going to stick it in the corner, the first corner, right up against the end of that white sheet. And then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to put another green in the opposite corner. And as I'm doing it, I'm kind of flip the paper how I think would be cutest down, you know, the leaves facing in, or however you want to do it. Then I'm going to grab one of the pink ones, and I'm going to put that in this corner. Again, going right up against the edges, flip it around, and put the yellow in the last remaining corner. So once you have those done, on this line you can see that I'm missing the pink, so I need to put a pink there. And I've put this line in this, I put this little mark in the center, so as I'm putting it down, I can kind of eyeball it as I slide it in and get it as close to even as we can. As I flip it again, I can see I'm missing yellow on that line. So we're going to do the same thing and center it over that little mark, so we're getting it as close to center as we can. And flip this. I'm missing yellow again. Flip it one more time, and I'm missing pink here. And I'm missing one last green in the center. And this I'm just going to kind of eyeball. I guess you could get your ruler out and measure it, but I think you can get it close enough just by eyeballing it and placing it in there. And that makes a really nice, fast, easy quilt background. But in order for it to stand up off of this sandpaper, I wanted it to have a little more of a border, which is why I cut this 10 1/4 by 10 1/4 inch piece of white cardstock, because once I get it on there and center it, and I'm just going to eyeball that. Let me glue it down real quick. Then it does pop that, make the center pop off that brown background. Okay. Ahead of time I cut this little piece of, because this is a 10 1/4 inch center and this is a 12 inch background, I want to make sure I have this centered as well as I can on the brown piece of paper. So there needs to be 7/8 on each of the 4 sides. So I cut this white piece of cardstock 7/8 of an inch, and I'm just going to lay it right there on one edge. And I've marked it 7/8 of an inch in on that white piece of paper. Grab my glue. And I'm going to softly butt that up against that white cardstock, center it, drop it, and now we have it centered as pretty close. So that's a pretty close. Center, on center. Here's a hint. If you're cutting these 3x3s already, you might as well cut a few extra. I would cut 9 extra just in case that you want to make this into a double page spread. So just finish cutting your paper into squares if you want to. The next thing I'm going to want to do with this, now that I've got the background all built, is I want to add a little bit of border. And what I chose was this sticker, this Paradise sticker, and it's the Puerto Rico, because the pictures I chose were a Puerto Rico trip. And we have a ton of countries and a ton of tropical locations in this particular line of stickers. So we have Puerto Rico, and the pictures were from San Juan, so I'm going to use this title. But first I'm going to tie in my browns by taking this border, and I'm going to center it on the top third of this page. So I'm just going to center that border like that. Then I'm going to pull off my title, and I'm going to center that in this center square. And that makes a nice title. I'm also going to use these dimensional flower stickers. They're called Tropical Flower Dimensional Stickers, and they have just some cute little flowers that are popped up with a little pop dot, and it's just gonna, give some interest to the page. So I think I'll put one right there. And I think I'll put one right there. And you can kind of play with it till you get it where you like it. I kind of like the leaves facing in so they're on that blue background. So the next thing we need to do is we need to, of course, put our pictures on there. So I've already taken the 2 pictures that I wanted to use for this page, and I've backed them with the brown sienna cardstock, 1/8 of an inch around. So what I'm going to do is just center this as kind of over those squares, so it gives it a little interest and you can see all the colors. Then I'm going to take my next photo and I'm going to center it on this side of the page. And because I always like to add some journaling, I am going to add this. What I did was took some scraps from the 10 by 10 that I cut down, and I made a 2 by 3 inch journaling blurb, whatever you want to call it, someplace to journal. Anyway, and we want to center that underneath the other picture. And last but not least, I have this cute little brown, I think it's the symbol of Puerto Rico. Anyway, I thought that tied in nicely with the colors and the brown of the cardstock. So there's our completed page, and there's more fun stickers on this sticker if you want to add more embellishments, or there's more beautiful flowers that you can add. But for me, this page is done, and it did brighten up my day today. So thank you.